What's up YouTube, Trashy here, and it's time to do some reading. Well, not actually, but we are going to talk about books, and those are for reading, so it's basically the same thing. Version 1.6 of Stardew Valley added a bunch of books to find around the valley that give you experience and skills and some interesting additional powers and buffs, as well as a bookseller that visits town twice a month. Today, we're going to take a look at all of those different books, how you can find them, what they do, and a few other interesting tidbits and tips that you might not have known. Before we get into it though, I am in fact obliged to tell y'all that there is no wrong way to play Stardew Valley. The only rules that this game has are the ones that you give yourself. But also, you should probably read the books. They do give you some pretty useful powers. Now, we're going to get into a lot of detail today, so be warned that there is many a spoiler ahead. With that being said, let's get right into it. Firstly, you should know that there are two different types of books: skill books and power books. Skill books' only function is to give you 250 experience points in a given skill once you read them or consume them like you would food, or 250 points towards your next mastery level if you've reached the mastery cave. There's one book for each skill, and each book can be found via the same method. You can buy them from the bookseller, who we'll talk more about in a little bit. You can get them from both types of mystery boxes, from artifact spots, from shaking and chopping down trees, from slaying monsters and breaking crates, very rarely at the traveling cart, and you can find one of the 5 possible skill books as the 15th reward from Lewis's prize machine. There is also a 6th skill book called the Book of Stars, which gives you 250 experience points in all skills at once, or 1,000 mastery points, although it can't be found in all of the previous places. You can buy it from the bookseller stock for a hefty 15,000 gold if it appears in the stock. You can also receive it as a reward from the Raccoon quests or from normal and golden mystery boxes after reading the Book of Mysteries, which we'll also talk about in a second. It's important to note that you do not need to read any skill books in order to obtain the well-read achievement. And you also don't need to read Queen of the Sauce, which technically isn't a skill or a power book, but it's still super useful and we will talk about it later. First, let's talk about power books. There are a total of 19 power books in Stardew Valley, and each one gives you a specific bonus or advantage. You will know if you've read a power book already thanks to the little thumbs up symbol beside the book, but you can also check this tab to see which books you've already read. Reading all 19 of these books is necessary if you want the well-read achievement, which is also necessary for achieving perfection without buying perfection slips. Now, the first time that you read one of these books, you will gain the power associated with it. And on every read after that, most of them actually give a small amount of experience points in different skills or towards mastery, but we will talk about how to use this to your advantage later. For now, let's take a look at the books themselves. The price catalogue is one of the most useful books and one of my personal favorites. It can only be found at the bookseller, however it will always be there no matter what, unlike other books which have a chance to appear. This book does exactly what you'd expect it to do. It allows you to see the selling price of your items by hovering over them. It will show you the sell price of full stacks rather than individual items, so if you want to see how much one of something is worth, you will need to separate it out of the stack. This price includes any selling buffs that you get from professions, such as artisan goods being more expensive, and reading the book again gives no additional experience points. Speaking of books that are always available at the bookseller, you can also buy the Way of the Wind 1 for 15,000 gold and Way of the Wind 2 for 35,000 gold, with part 2 only appearing after you've read the first one. These books both give you a permanent plus 0.25 to your speed, for a total of plus 0.5 to your base speed if you read both of them. This is the equivalent of drinking around half a coffee, which gives a plus 1 to your speed buff. It might not seem like much, but it definitely adds up over time. Both of these books give 20 experience points in each skill when read again, or 100 mastery points. Horse the Book, which I have to assume is a nod to Horse the Band, is also always available at the bookseller for 25,000 gold, and it gives you a plus 0.5 speed boost when riding your horse, which is pretty nice if you like to rush everywhere. This book also gives 20 experience points in each skill or 100 mastery points when read again. The last of the books that are always available at the bookseller is Old Slitherlegs for 25,000 gold. This book allows you to move through your crops and grass much faster. It's not your full speed, but it is definitely an improvement, especially if you tend to let parts of your farm get too overgrown. Just like the previous two, any subsequent readings of this book will give you 20 experience points in all skills or 100 mastery points. The Monster Compendium is a super useful book that you can find from monster drops or at the bookseller starting during year 3. However, you will definitely find it before then because it starts with a 0.01% chance to drop after slaying 10 monsters, and it continues to increase by 0.015% for every monster that you slay until it drops. Once you found it, the chance stays at a solid 0.05. This book is usually easy to find pretty early on in your playthrough. Reading the Monster Compendium gives monsters a 3% chance to drop double loot, which might not sound like much, but it also stacks with the Burglar Ring. The Burglar Ring essentially rolls twice on the loot drop table when you slay a monster, meaning that you can get double loot, and not only that, but 2 different items. When combined with the Monster Compendium, you can get wild amounts of drops from monsters, including 8 bat wings from 1 bat, which I'm not going to ask any questions, mainly because I don't know what questions I could ask to get the answers that I need. Every subsequent read of the Monster Compendium will give you 100 combat experience or 100 mastery points, but hold on to any extras that you find for now, because extra books actually do have more uses, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Friendship 101 is one of the easier books to get, as it's a guaranteed reward as the 9th prize from the prize machine in Lewis's house. To get it, you'll obviously need a total of 9 prize tickets, which you can get from completing villager quests, special orders, and a few other sources. If you're struggling to get that last prize ticket, you can find a sneaky one in a box behind where the bookseller hangs out when he visits. This book gives you a permanent 10% increase to any friendship gained with NPCs. Now, it might not sound like much, but it does actually stack with other buffs. For example, gifting someone a loved item on their birthday gives a whopping 640 friendship points. And Iridium quality loved gifts get a plus 50% increase to friendship gained, for a total of 960 friendship points. With the Friendship 101 book, this goes up to 1056 friendship points, which is just over 4 hearts from one gift. This next book, Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick, which is clearly a reference to Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Quick, an English nursery rhyme, can be found from digging up artifact spots or bought at the bookseller starting year 3 for 20,000 gold. This book starts with a 0.8% chance to appear and increases by 0.2% until it's found. Once dug up, the chance to find this book stays at a solid 1.3%. This is another easy one to find as you just go about your daily duties and find artifact spots, but what does it do? Well, this one's pretty simple. It gives you a permanent +1 buff to your defense, reducing all incoming damage by 1. Again, it may not sound like much, but finding this book at the start of the game can greatly help out when it comes to reaching the bottom of the mines. Any subsequent readings of Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick will give you 100 combat experience or 100 mastery points. Woody's Secret, I assume, is a reference to the many characters named Woody that have appeared in the Harvest Moon saga over the years, most of whom play the role of head craftsman or carpenter. Although, it might be a specific reference to Harvest Moon, Hero of Leaf Valley, a 2009 PSP game in which Woody brings you to his secret spot where you can gather more wood than usual. This is fitting because Woody's Secret in Stardew Valley gives trees a 5% chance to yield double wood. It can be found, naturally, from chopping down trees, starting at a 0.03% chance, and increasing by 0.001% for every tree that you chop until you find it. Of course, like most other books, it can also start appearing at the bookseller during year 3 for 20,000 gold, and on subsequent reads, Woody's Secret gives the player 100 foraging experience or mastery points. The Raccoon Journal is given as a second reward from the Raccoon family's quest line, and afterwards it can be bought from them again as many times as you want for 999 fiber each. As usual, it can also be found at the bookseller starting in year 3 for 20,000 gold. This book increases the player's chance to get mixed seeds and mixed flower seeds from weeds by 4%, both of which are useful for getting a few extra crops and flowers each season. However, the extra mixed seeds are great for crafting fiber seeds and planting them between seasons to keep your ground hoed and fertilized. Any subsequent readings of the Raccoon Journal give you 100 foraging experience or mastery points. Once you reach fishing level 5, you can find the Jewels of the Sea book in fishing treasure chests. Like many of the other books, you have a starting chance of 2% to find this book, which increases for every treasure chest that you find until you find the book itself, and then it goes all the way back down to a static 2%. This book makes it so that every fishing treasure chest has a 25% chance to contain roe from the fish that was caught, which you can then turn into aged roe for a nice extra profit. Every subsequent read of Jewels of the Sea will give you 100 fishing experience or mastery points. The Dwarvish Safety Manual is a book that I like to try and get as soon as possible because it reduces all damage taken from bombs by 25%, and I tend to blow myself up quite a lot when diving in the Skull Cavern. You can easily find this book at the dwarf's shop in the entrance to the mines after you've read all of the dwarf skulls and can understand them, of course. He sells one Dwarvish safety manual a day for 4,000 gold, which is an important detail to keep in mind for something that we'll be talking a little bit about later. If for whatever reason you can't talk to him or get it from him, you can once again buy this book from the bookseller starting during year 3 for 20,000 gold. Every subsequent read of the Dwarvish safety manual gives you 100 mining experience or mastery points. The next book, The Art of Crabbing, is received as a reward from the Squid Fest as long as you haven't received it before, and of course can also be purchased from the bookseller starting in year 3 for 20,000 gold. This book gives crab pots a 25% chance to yield double loot, and on subsequent reads it gives 100 fishing experience or mastery points. Now this power actually stacks with wild baits effects, which when used in crab pots decrease the chance of catching trash and give an additional 25% chance to double the yield. When combined, this makes for a 50% chance for doubling the loot caught using crab pots, which is a pretty significant boost for a nice passive source of fish. One of my personal favourite books based on looks alone, The Alleyway Buffet. This one is simple enough to find. You just need to head to this area here behind Clint's place with at least a steel axe and pickaxe to get rid of the log and the boulder in the way, and at the end of this hidden path you will find behind a tree a golden trash can containing the Alleyway Buffet. Of course, again, you can also find it at the bookseller starting year 3 for 20,000 gold. Now this book increases your chances of finding items when digging around the trash by 20%, which is quite a lot, and subsequent reads give 100 foraging experience or mastery points. Mapping Cave Systems is another straightforward book found in the back of the Adventurers Guild. You gain access to this room after slaying a total of 1,000 monsters, but you can always check the door itself to see exactly how many monsters out of 1,000 you've slain so far. As per usual, it is also available at the bookseller starting in year 3 for 20,000 gold. This book gives you a nice 50% discount on Marlin's item recovery services, which allows you to retrieve items lost after getting knocked unconscious in the mines of the Skull Cavern. And naturally, every subsequent read gives you 100 combat experience points or 100 mastery points. The Diamond Hunter can only be bought from the dwarf on level 5 of the volcano for 10 diamonds. No waiting until year 3 for this one, but it is definitely worth it. This book gives every single stone a 0.66 chance to drop diamonds, which I know doesn't sound like much, but if you're diving into the mines or the Skull Cavern and exploding a bunch of rocks at once, you are guaranteed to find some diamonds. Of course, every subsequent reading of this book gives you 100 mining experience or 100 mastery points. The Book of Mysteries is one of the best books in the game in my opinion. It can be found only in mystery boxes and golden mystery boxes starting at 1 and 2% respectively and going up with each opened box until it's found. You can only find it after opening a total of 10 mystery boxes of whichever type, and it increases your chances of finding mystery or golden mystery boxes from any source that would usually give them by a whopping 33%. After reading this book, I find way more mystery boxes than usual. The best way to make the most of this is by going to levels 40 to 50 of the mines with some Monster Musk. Monster Musk doubles the amount of monsters that spawn, and of course you already get a lot of these little coal sprites on those floors, so it makes for a lot more chances for mystery boxes. Daily luck and luck buffs also affect their drop rate, so make sure to go on a good luck day. You can easily make it out with over 20 golden mystery boxes in just one day if you play your cards right. And of course, subsequent readings of the Book of Mysteries give you 20 experience points in each skill or 100 mastery points. The Treasure Appraisal Guide can be found from opening artifact troves or bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold in year 3. It has a solid 3.57% chance to appear in treasure troves, which does not increase the more troves that you open, which makes it one of the trickier books to find before it has a chance to appear in the traveling cart. However, this book is actually pretty useful. It triples the sell price of every single artifact, which makes for some extra cash here and there, but there is one high value artifact that you can reliably get a lot of, and that's dinosaur eggs. If you have yourself a little dino coop, you'll know that these adorable little guys produce one dinosaur egg worth 350 gold per week. With the Treasure Appraisal Guide, this goes up to 1,050 gold. And if you have enough friendship with them, one iridium dinosaur egg can be worth 2,100 gold. Almost double the price of dinosaur mayo even with the artisan profession buff. A few dinosaurs on the side producing eggs regularly can definitely help pad your wallet, especially if you manage to find an egg and start your coop in the early game. Each subsequent reading of the Treasure Appraisal Guide gives you 20 experience points in all skills or 100 mastery points. Starting in year 2, you can finally buy the animal catalogue for Marnie for 5,000 gold, and it allows you to access her shop while she stares at her microwave for 3 hours. What could she possibly be cooking in a microwave for that long? Surely the popcorn's burnt by now, Marnie, come on. And not only that, but it allows you to access the shop at any time as long as you can access the building. No more tracking the days to try and remember if Marnie feels like working that day or not. As far as I know, there is no way to get an extra copy of this book aside from playing multiplayer saves and buying multiple, but subsequent readings don't actually give anything at all. And lastly in our list of books is The Queen of the Sauce book. Now this book technically is not a skill book, but it also isn't a power book, meaning that it does not count towards the well-read achievement, so you do not need to read it at all. It can only be bought once from the bookseller for 50,000 gold after you've found 100 golden walnuts on Ginger Island. If that's something you're struggling to do, make sure to check out the description below because I have a nice little guide for you. Now once you read this book, it will teach you every single Queen of the Sauce cooking recipe that you're missing, including the ones that haven't aired yet. However, you should consider whether this is worth it to you or not. If you unlock this book before the end of year 2, you'll be able to learn all of the remaining recipes without having to wait. This is particularly useful if you're aiming for perfection as early as possible without buying perfection slips, as cooking all recipes is one of the requirements and it used to be locked behind the last Queen of the Sauce recipe airing on the last day of year 2. However, if you're not really that bothered about basically speedrunning perfection and you unlock access to the book in your 3rd year, it might not be worth it to buy, to be honest. Every Wednesday, Queen of the Sauce reruns air on the TV, and you will always learn a recipe from previous broadcasts that you've missed. That means that if you're in year 3 looking for the remaining recipes and you check the TV on a Wednesday, but you already know the recipe that it tells you, there is no point in buying the Queen of the Sauce book because it won't teach you a thing, you already know them all. And if you don't mind waiting to get every recipe, you can just keep watching reruns for a guaranteed recipe every time. You should keep this in mind when deciding if it's worth it for you to buy this book or not, because like we mentioned before, it doesn't actually count towards any achievements or perfection, so it can easily be skipped if you don't want to spend the money. Now, that is all of the books that you can find in Stardew Valley, but we're not done yet. I want to talk a little bit about the bookseller, specifically the items that they can trade, as well as other possible uses for books that might not have occurred to you. The bookseller, as we've mentioned many times so far, is one of the main sources for many of the books in the game. They stop by this area of Pelican Town twice a season, and you can check and prep for their visits using the calendar, although you will also get a little pop-up in the corner of your screen telling you that they're in town. Some books are part of their permanent stock, such as the Way of the Wind books, Horse the Book, all Slitherlegs, and the Price Catalogue, and they can also stock multiple different skill books, and of course a wide variety of power books once year 3 rolls around. However, you can also keep a hold of any repeat books that you find and trade them to the bookseller. Most of the trades are pretty basic items, but here are some examples of a few books that are worth holding on to trade. Any extra Jewels of the Sea books that you find can be traded for 3 cave jellies, river jellies, or sea jellies, which are always useful if you're looking to make a fish smoker farm. The Book of Mysteries can be traded in for 7 mystery boxes, which are super useful to have whether they're for opening or for trading for golden mystery boxes at the Raccoons. And the Book of Stars, while it does give a lot of experience points or mastery points, can be traded for 8 bags of fairy dust, which can come in handy if you're super impatient like me. Now, you've probably noticed that almost all power books give experience points after their first initial read, and while it might not seem like an efficient way to level up, you can definitely speed up your mastery process via books. Once you've leveled up all skills to level 10, you unlock access to the Mastery Cave and 5 additional mastery levels that grant you access to new abilities and items. You get mastery points similarly to experience points, with all activities that would normally give you XP giving the exact same amount of mastery points, aside from farming, which only gives half the points. Which honestly makes sense because at this stage in the game many people already have large farms set up on Ginger Island and it would be way too easy to grind the levels. However, if you did want a little boost towards your mastery levels, there are a few books that you can kind of farm. Obviously, if you have a lot of spare cash, you can just buy up books from the bookseller when they visit and get a little extra mastery points that way, but there are some more reliable books that you can find. The Dwarf in the Mine sells the Dwarvish Safety Manual every day for 4,000 gold, which is a guaranteed 100 mastery points or mining experience every day if you have the spare gold. The Dwarf on floor 5 of the Volcano sells a Diamond Hunter book every day for 10 diamonds. Which I know might seem like a lot, but if you do have a Crystallarium farm going, you can easily count on another 100 mastery points or mining experience per day. And lastly, but definitely not leastly, you can buy as many Raccoon Journals from the Raccoons as you want. Once you've unlocked it, of course. Are they a little bit pricey? For 999 fiber, absolutely. However, You can easily start yourself a very low effort fiber farm over on Ginger Island, as fiber does not need to be watered and there's no crows on Ginger Island, and you can net yourself a little bit more mastery points for quicker leveling. And one last thing that you can keep your leftover books for is for gift giving. It turns out that a lot of NPCs actually have favorite books, and their preferences line up perfectly with the kind of person that they are, which I think is a pretty cool detail, and you'll even get unique lines of dialogue from some of the characters. For example, Pierre loves the price catalogue because he's a greedy Abigail loves the Monster Compendium and likes Combat Quarterly, which makes complete sense given her adventurous spirit and the fact that she really wants to explore the mines. Sebastian also likes both Combat Quarterly and the Monster Compendium, which also kind of tracks given his interest in tabletop games, comics and whatnot. Marnie likes the Stardew Valley Almanac, which makes complete sense as a rancher and technically the only other farmer in town. Linus, and this is my favourite little tidbit of information about this game, loves the Alleyway Buffet, which is known for giving you more items when digging in the trash. Plus, when you give it to him, he even responds with an adorable pun. Please never change, Linus. The Wizard, as to be expected, loves the Book of Mysteries, which I feel like doesn't need explaining. Willie enjoys all books to do with fishing, he loves the Art of Crabbing and Jewels of the Sea, and he likes the Bait and Bobber book. Clint, of course, likes Mining Monthly, but don't give it to him because he doesn't deserve it. Robin, the carpenter, naturally loves Woody's Secret and likes Woodcutter's Weekly. Giving Robin Woody's Secret results in some of the funniest dialogue I have ever seen in Stardew Valley and possibly the most adult joke in the game. I can't think of any other jokes like this, but let me know in the comments if you can. Krobus loves the Monster Compendium, which I guess kind of makes sense because, well, I mean, his people are technically in it, right? These guys in the mines are also shadow people, and now I feel really bad. Kent likes the Dwarvish safety manual, which, if you remember, makes bombs do 25% less damage. This is fitting because Kent actually served in the army. Elliot is a writer and likes all books, of course, and Penny is a bookworm and loves all books. Meanwhile, Alex is your typical jock type and dislikes every single book except for Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick, which gives you a +1 to your defense, or in other words, buffs you up. And that's it for today. Before you leave though, did you know that the day that this goes out is National Plan for Vacation Day? You should take some time to plan a little something for the year, even if it's just a simple self-care day. Take care of yourself. You deserve it. Also, I spent hours making my house look kinda like a library just for this video, and I also deliberately married Elliot for his little book nook. Do you think it's pretty? Please tell me it's pretty. It took so long to do, and I divorced Harvey for this. I stream a bunch of games over on Twitch. We have a community Discord in the description, and if you enjoyed this video, you should probably check out my other videos. Okay, love you, bye!